It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Magical day to all. Welcome to Divas That Care Network. I am Joyce Benning, and I will be your host for this absolutely magical, robust lifestyle show. I would like to thank each one of our listeners that are listening on the numerous different platforms to this magical show on the podcast. And I am just so very grateful and thankful for each and every one of you. And you are all in for a very special show today, as I have with me a beautiful returning diva, Regina Curtis. And her and I are going to chat about unraveling into your reckoning. Oh my, is this going to be one magical show? And with that, Regina, would you please introduce yourself to our listeners today?
I sure will. Well, thank you, Joyce. It's such a pleasure to be here again with you today. Just hearing your introduction always just makes my heart so happy. So I'm Regina Curtis. I'm a soul rhythm activator, and I work with entrepreneurs to help bring joy and flow into their life and their business. And I do that by helping them connect with their personal seasons and aligning their activities in life and business with their internal flow.
Oh, wow. Oh, what a rewarding career you have chosen. And
Thank you.
I even love your title, Soul Rhythm Activator, because it's just like it's getting that soul rhythmed up to what it was meant to be and finding
Exactly.
that soul deep down inside of us. So, oh, that's
Oh,
awesome.
thank you. Yeah, you got it. Exactly. That's exactly what I aim to do and what I love doing and helping people to achieve in their lilives. So
Oh,
beautiful connection there.
a true diva because you're being of service to others, and I love that.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that.
Well, as we start to talk about unraveling into your reckoning, how
Yeah.
would you like to open this up to our listeners today?
So what I love about being in this space with you, I mean, so many things, but one of the things that I love about it is that, when we connected to say, I'm going to be a guest here, um, the way the title came through was we just allowed it to come through, right? I just checked in and said, what is it that wants to be explored today? And I think that conversation happened, more than a month ago. It was quite a
Yes.
while ago.
Hmm.
And so that theme has been showing up and unveiling itself to me throughout, and showing up in different ways. And one of the things that initially came through was just the unraveling. And so even in how it showed up to me in the order, unraveling into your reckoning, it came through in that order, but then it also unraveled in that order, right? It unveiled itself in that order. So I'll give some examples first of what the unraveling has shown me, what the unraveling, how it's shown up in my world. So I mentioned that I work with entrepreneurs in my business, and a lot of the entrepreneurs that I work with actually have come from a corporate career. And one of the things that I've noticed over the years as I've supported many entrepreneurs in that transition is that there is an unraveling that has to happen before they really step into their power. And I'm using this example because it's fresh in my life and it's something that I see daily. However, it's a theme that I've seen for people who are not entrepreneurs as well. Um, Sometimes it happens in the process of, I've noticed for women specifically, it happens often that, in your mid, early to mid 40s, there starts to be this kind of, there's first a building up and then an unraveling of something, right? The releasing of different ways of being or different thought processes, etc. So for someone who's coming into the world of entrepreneurship, especially if they've come from previously a career in the corporate space, there's an unraveling. There's a releasing of this no longer serves me, or this is not supporting me anymore. I don't identify as this anymore. And I think I want to just note here for a moment that I'm talking about some big instances of this, but this happens in our everyday too. Sometimes it could be a week-long process. It could be an hour-long process. It could be a moment of unraveling and stepping into your reckoning, right? So the ones that I'm giving are big examples. However, this happens in many different layers in many different ways in our lives. So as you come into a new identity, there's a process of unraveling that old identity. And what I see in that is it's that if you were to imagine unraveling a rope has many, many, many individual strings or threads that are within it. And as you unravel it, you actually allow all of those strings to be seen individually. And that's the process of the unraveling. I think it's a word that's used often in a way that means like, oh, she's unraveling or they're unraveling, and that it's used in a way that's kind of has a negative connotation, right? But in this instance, I don't see it as that at all. I see it as an unraveling to be able to gain that clarity, to sort through what is for you and what is not, to allow space for something to breathe on its own, for it to have its own identity. And in that is a first level of reckoning. Each of those individual threads gets to reclaim its own identity, even though it was a part of something bigger, and maybe again, right? A part of something bigger, it gets to come back into the knowing of who it is and what its own purpose is. And then each of those individuals you get to choose which ones am I bringing forward, which ones are heavy, which ones do I not need anymore, which ones are worn, need repairing, etc. And this is where the process of reckoning begins. Re-knowing, re-becoming, reclaiming. There's many re-words that you can put there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about when we use the word reckoning or reckon, right? I reckon this or I reckon that. It's a remembering, a knowing, but it's a knowing that has always been there. It's coming from within. And that is a different level of empowerment. I now get to choose intentionally how I'm using this, how I'm identifying, what parts of me want to come together to create something new. So I'll pause there. I know that's a lot.
Oh, that was so true to what it is, and gives unraveling a whole kind of another definition. Because like you said, a lot of times you think of it as negative. Or some things that came to my mind when we talk about unraveling, it's kind of like deprogramming, because a
Yes.
lot of times we're programmed in so many different ways. The corporate world is a good example, not just picking on the corporate world, but just you get programmed into the ways you need to be in that world.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's then unraveling that to find your true self. And I love to step into your power. And that's
Beautiful.
so much what you're doing. And to me, it's releasing of the old ways.
Exactly. And I think it's important to say, it's not that the corporate world it's bad inherently, right?
No.
Or it's just that in this instance, talking about becoming an entrepreneur and leaving that space, you do have to unlearn certain things that you knew in that space, because that there is a different way of being that is necessary in a much larger company space where there are multiple timelines and multiple teams all working together for a common purpose. When you are an entrepreneur, you may get to a point where that is the case, where you have multiple timelines and teams, working together. But often in the very beginning stages of that, you're doing it as a solopreneur. And it is, I know myself when I first stepped into entrepreneurship, I tried to run my business like a corporation. I tried to run it in the same way because it's what I knew. And I remember very specifically one day having a conversation with myself. I was like, Regina, what are you doing? You don't have $1 million budget and a whole human resources team and a whole tech team, IT, and all of these things. And I was like, why am I trying to manage my business in the same way that I managed the projects that I did as an entrepreneur? Because I don't actually have the same resources. And so I need to look at, and that's where the unraveling happened, right? I laid everything out and I looked at it and said, okay, is this actually manageable process? Or is there something here that I can take from that process that's helpful and use different tools or use different resources to actually get me the same result?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I so agree. Read a saying just here, and it must just be because of this show, and I just saw it here in the last week or so, but it was very much like that. This isn't word for word, but it was kind of like when when a thought or an old way comes up, do you want to stay with that and be a prisoner of the past or become a pioneer of the future?
Oof, yeah.
And
A
I'm like,
prisoner of the past or a pioneer of the future.
yeah.
I love it.
I did too. That just had so much meaning. And now as we're talking, that came to me and I'm going, I know now why I saw that, because it was just part of this unraveling. Because you're
Yeah.
letting go of the past and getting into seeing you can bring, like you said, find out what works for you from the past and maybe
Mhm.
incorporate it into a different way into the future. But you're stepping into yourself to find your own clarity also. And
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
is
And
so
I,
beautiful.
I think that that's a really important thing is, again, just like the corporate space isn't a bad space, there are many beautiful things that come from it, and it is
Mhm.
the place where many people thrive. However, same thing with the past, right? Like if we stay living in the past or stuck in the past, then
Mhm.
we do become a prisoner of it. And uh, however, it completely ignoring that also doesn't serve us very well,
Yeah.
right? It's a matter of understanding what's there for us to carry forward and what's there for us to leave behind.
Yeah.
And that I think is really where we step into our reckoning, right? We unravel into our reckoning. And the reckoning is change. It
Mhm.
is different, right? And even thinking about, like, as I keep saying that word, I keep thinking of like a wrecking ball, right? There's there is something that has to change as we step into that. And it may feel destructive to the thing, I mean, it may need to be destructive, right? To the things that are no longer a part of that future, a part of the future where we can thrive. It may have to die away.
Well, and I love that of what no longer supports me. What is
Mhm.
what is no longer good for my higher self is how I always
Yeah,
kind of like to think of it. And that can mean change. You have to let go of some of those things and make that change. So you are advancing up to your higher self and doing what you know in your heart you need to be doing, not what
yeah.
your ego says, no, that isn't going to work. We're going to go this direction.
Right. And I think what you're speaking to, Joyce, is grace, right? Can we do
Mhm.
that process? Can we have that experience with grace,
Mhm.
with grace for ourselves, with compassion for ourselves? Can we allow something to fall away with grace, with compassion and gratitude for it as we release it? So that as we do move forward, we're not looking back at the past or the things that helped get us there with any kind of animosity or resentment.
Right. They are stepping stones to get you where you are headed. and
Yeah,
where to find your true self.
it's
That's how
beautiful.
I always feel, and that's how my angels have told me. Everything in life is a stepping stone to bring
Yeah,
you to where you need to be.
exactly. Yeah, I
It,
completely agree. I keep when you said that I had this image, this image came to me a long time ago, and um, I've returned back to it many times. And it was, in the vision that I was having, I was standing on a ledge of a mountaintop, and it was really beautiful, but I couldn't move forward
yeah.
because there was nothing to stand on,
Mhm.
right? And I knew that I needed to move forward. I knew that I needed to step forward, and as I did, I put my foot down, and it kind of started out looking like almost like a clear stone. But as I stood on it, it then solidified into a stepping stone. And each step that I took moving forward, the stones would form underneath me. And I think that image has always stuck with me because I think there's so many sayings that we have about, like leap, and the path will, the net will be
Mhm.
there. But um it was really that stepping forward in trust. And I think that's so important in the unraveling, is that there is a level of trust,
Yeah.
that as that unraveling is happening, it's happening for a purpose.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. There's a purpose behind it. You may not see it at that moment, but you
Hmm.
will in the future when you look back on it too. And it
Yeah.
kind of reminds me the reckoning. I have a deck of cards that I pull cards each day for a word, or sometimes two or three fall out, and I know those are the words for the day. And receiving has been coming up a lot,
Mm,
and it's
yeah.
opening yourself up to receive those new beginnings that you have coming for you. And if you stay in the past, to me, you're not opening up. You haven't unraveled to be able to open up to receive what lies ahead for you in the future.
Absolutely. Because I think that process of the unraveling is the most important thing in that moment.
Mhm.
If you rush through it, then you actually don't always get the gifts, right?
Right.
Just like you said with the cards, like sometimes two or three fall out. And if you grab those and you put them back in, and like, oh, that's not what was supposed to happen, or I didn't need those, I was just looking for one, right? If we don't actually get present in whatever's happening before us, then there's things that we miss.
Mhm.
Um, and the universe is amazing and always reshaping and reforming to meet us where we are. So if we do put those back in and rush through it, they'll find us in another way somehow.
Yeah.
Um, and that idea of receiving. So when you were saying that, I could just picture, if you're facing the past, then you actually can't open up to receive the future, because how do you receive? You put your hands out, you put your arms out, very physical example of that, right? Of course, you can receive mentally and emotionally in many other ways, but as a physical example, if you're facing the past, then you can't open your arms to receive the future.
Right. Yeah. Oh, how true that is such a true statement. That is beautifully said. Because that's just what it is. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's staying a prisoner in the past.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Instead of a pioneer of the future. So pioneer, the reckoning, there is this very hmm, what's the word I want to use? An adventurous spirit about
mhm.
being a pioneer, about even the word reckoning kind of has this, like, it has a little bit of a edgy, like the word I want to use is like a little bit dangerous, but not in a like scary way, but in
No.
a, like, just that adventurous spirit kind of way. And if you think about a pioneer, they're going into territory that is unknown. They're doing something in a different way. They're trying something that hasn't been done or hasn't been knowingly done before. And I think that is a bit of that reckoning energy. It has a more, yeah, it just has a little bit more of that adventurous spirit, whereas the unraveling, it really is a softening, um, a releasing, and the reckoning is a building, um, a forward movement. It just feels so filled with action and adventure. If it were a movie, it would be an action adventure movie.
Definitely. Well, and I kind of think as a reckoning in that aspect, it's kind of an exciting
Yeah,
what's the future going to hold for me? And
yeah,
to be open to receive that and to be excited about it because there's so much beauty there. And it's my horses have told me so much, so many times, the power lies within and how
mm,
true that is, and living in that present moment. So you sometimes, if you're not, you're missing what's in that very moment. And it could be part of the unraveling, it could be part of the reckoning. If
totally.
you're not in
Yes.
that moment, you're going to miss it completely.
Exactly. Then you're just, yeah, you're just waiting, right? You're just
Uh-huh.
waiting for something to happen. So yeah, that's an interesting point too, because unraveling feels like the way that it kind of that old version of that we talked
Yeah.
about in the beginning, right? The like, oh, they're unraveling, or this is unraveling, used in a kind of negative connotation. It feels like that's something that's outside of your control,
Mhm.
right? If you think about like, oh, this sweater is old and it's unraveling, it's something that you can't control because of external forces and the way that it's been used or the way that it's been cared for. But this is actually a very much empowered form of unraveling, choosing to unravel the pieces so that you can see, and then the reckoning being an empowered reckoning as well, choosing to what you're bringing forward with you, choosing how you're moving into the adventure, choosing what you are going to do with all of those pieces that you've discovered,
Mhm. And and being excited about it. I think
and
that
being excited about
because
it.
that's what gets your insides and just making you feel good all over because you're
Hmm.
excited about what the future holds rather than like, oh no, this is going to be change and how am I going to handle this? And going into that negative state, rather take it into the positive and think of all the opportunities that could be opening up for you.
I love it. Could we do that too with the unraveling, right? Could we go into that with excitement, and
Yeah.
how would that actually change the
Mhm.
experience?
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, I so agree. And unraveling them old ways, it's time to let them go. Be excited that you have finally realized that.
Yeah,
Because to me, that is a big step, a big leap, really, because you have finally realized what is no longer serving you. And it's
yeah,
time to let that go. And it may have been a very big part of your life of what you
yeah.
have done. And making those changes and excited for that and excited for what the future holds beyond that.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Yeah. Can we just take that into all areas of our life? You
Uh-huh.
know, is this an unraveling? Is this a reckoning? Is this a time of exploration? You know, which kind of exploration is this? But honestly, everything can be one or the other, or maybe even both.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I so agree. You can put this into so many aspects of your life.
Yeah.
Because I mean, things are always changing in your life. There's no doubt about it.
No, there is no doubt about it. Yeah, that is, I mean, in what I do, the work that I do with entrepreneurs and their personal seasons, it's the reason I started actually identifying that there are these seasonal aspects to the cycle that we move through in our internal world, just like there is in the cycle that we move through in the external world. And so when I started to realize like, oh, part, this thing that's happening right now in this internal cycle is very much like the spring energy or very much like the
Mhm.
summer energy or et cetera, et cetera. It really helped me have grace for the process moving forward and knowing that I'm never going to be perpetually in summer. And if I am perpetually in summer, I'm going to burn out,
Yeah.
right? If I am perpetually in winter, I am going to begin to lose steam, right? I might feel depressed if I'm in that area all the time because I actually need to keep moving forward through it. And what often happens if we are in that one area for too long and don't move forward is that's when it starts to become toxic, right? That's when it starts to drain our energy. And then we need to swing way in the opposite direction to recover.
Yeah. Right.
If we allow for all of the areas to happen, then we get to move through it much more smoothly, right? And I think that's where we are with the unraveling and the into the reckoning is allowing the release, allowing the build, right? And those the pause that comes in between or the allowing the excitement, like sitting in that excitement and allowing the moment of celebration once you get everything unraveled and you can see where it is. It's like, okay, let's just pause here and celebrate this. And I think those are the softer energies like the spring and the fall.
Oh, and I love that to take a pause and to celebrate it because as you're unraveling, celebrate those little things that you're unraveling from. And sometimes I think, and I know in myself, I think, well, I want to unravel it all at one time. Well, the universe is like, no, 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 we can't make it happen that fast.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes we want it to slow down too. It's like, oh, wait a
Yeah.
minute, hold on.
Hold on, let me gather my thoughts again.
Yes.
But I think it can be a much smoother transition if we just kind of go with the flow. That's been
Yeah.
another card that has come up for me many
Mm.
times is just go with the flow. Just kind
Mhm.
of let it flow like it needs to and not try not try to change it all so much so quickly.
Isn't that the truth, right? Open
Yeah.
to receiving and allow it to flow.
Uh-huh.
Those two things go so beautifully together as well, because if it is flowing, then you can receive. And
Right.
if you are open to receive, then it actually allows the flowing as well, right? Like if you're holding on to something, I use this example a lot. If you're holding on to something tightly in your hand, right? You're gripping onto it, then it actually, you can't open your hand to receive. But it doesn't allow for the flow, right? Like if you put your hand in water and you have a fist, it's gonna like,
Yeah.
it's not gonna flow through so nicely. It's gonna give some resistance.
Yeah. Oh, how beautiful. Well, Regina, I knew this show would go so quickly because
I
there's
know it always does.
it always does. It's like, okay, we just barely started, and I'm going, oh my
I
goodness, where'd
know.
it go?
Exactly.
Oh, a couple quick questions before we close.
Of
I would
course.
love in the future to have you come back on and share more of your soul rhythm activator that you share with others. You just have so much knowledge and you're so bubbly about it. I just
Oh,
feel your
thank you.
energy through this podcast, and I would love to have you back on Robust Lifestyles.
I would be overjoyed to come back. I would love
Oh,
that. Thank you so much for the invitation.
oh, you're so welcome. Awesome. You heard her, listeners. She will be back. And also, would you please share with our listeners the best ways to connect with you?
Absolutely. So, the best way to connect with me is you can go to my website and everything's connected there. It's at matri.com, ATMAITRI. And I'm also on social media with the same handle, so Instagram and Facebook.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Regina, for being my guest on Robust Lifestyles. And until we connect again, I wish you magic in each and every day.
Thank you so much, Joyce. You as well.
Thank you. You're so welcome. And I want to thank all of our listeners for listening to this magical show with our incredible diva, Regina Curtis. Please share this show with your family and friends and check out all the other hosts and their shows on divasthatcare.com. And remember some of the golden nuggets that she left with us. Step into your own power and be open to receive and allow it to flow and to find yourself, find the clarity, and know it is within. The power lies within. And with that, I want to wish everyone a very magical day. Remember, be kind to all, including your animals, and give your animals that great big extra hug and share all your love with them as they so deserve it. Until we connect again on Robust Lifestyles, stay strong and healthy.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.